off, and I just want you to turn to the person that brought you and say thank you. Thank you for caring about me. Alright, so I get to give you a little bit of background information on Dr. Redefining. He's our coach, he's our fearless leader, and he is a native of Manalapan. They're born and bred. So, you know, local boy does good, right? He attended the University of Maryland, and he received his doctorate from Logan College of Chiropractic. He's the founder of Upper Cervical Chiropractic of Monmouth. Over 9 years, over 100,000 patient visits. All throughout the country. So I did a lot of research on who I was going to work with and what kind of doctors I wanted to be associated with. And, you know, all throughout the country, when I was speaking to upper cervical doctors, this name kept coming up, Larry Arbeitman. So he's got a tremendous reputation within our entire profession, nationally, especially within the upper cervical specialty. He speaks all over the country at chiropractic conferences, at schools, and he's actually a consultant for a number of top practices in the country. So we're all very fortunate to be able to learn from him, share his insights, and tonight he's going to be sharing some key points from his book called The Gift of Hope, The Path to Healing Through Upper Cervical Care. So let's give it up for Dr. Larry Arbeitman.
So, by a show of hands, how many people in here, raise your right hand high, have a birthday? Awesome. First rule of public speaking, get the audience on your side. Good. Now, if it's not your birthday today, I'm going to ask you to tuck the ringer off on your phone. That way we know when your phone rings, you'll all say happy birthday to you. How cool is that? So, why a chiropractor? Why this dinner? I know what you guys are thinking. Why is the back and neck guy going to talk to us about health? I mean, let's be honest. When was the last time one of your doctors took you out to dinner? What you'll come to learn about us and what our practice members know is this isn't a job for us. It's a mission. It's a love. It's our purpose. It's why we get up every day. And as we come full circle in the next 20, 30 minutes, however long I speak for, I think it's going to make total sense why a chiropractor and why this dinner. You know, I think in my life there's been several angels, people that just kind of come in and come out and kind of set you on your course. And as I was preparing for tonight's talk, I was thinking about this young lady. I'm going to come back to her in a moment. But before I tell you that story, I believe in the bottom of my heart that we save lives every single day in our office with the upper cervical chiropractic adjustment. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, save lives? That seems a little dramatic. I mean, it's not like if somebody gets in a car accident out here, God forbid, and they get dismembered, rush them over to my office and we'll adjust their arm back on. It's not like that. It's not crisis care, but it is crisis care. You know, when I think about Stephanie, this young girl who I met when she was 15 years old, and she was a gymnast at Field Township High School, and she was left with such bad chronic pain and fatigue that she was being homeschooled, couldn't socialize with her friends, couldn't do gymnastics, and spent a year going to the biggest and best doctors in Philly and New York, was pumped full of all kinds of medications to no avail, and that was back in 2006. And I watched Stephanie regain her health under upper cervical care, and now Stephanie has a master's from Seton Hall and lives with her fiance in Jersey City and has her life back. That's a life saved. That's a young girl put on a different trajectory. When I think of little Louie, the 3.5-year-old autistic boy who never said a word in his life, say his first words after a chiropractic adjustment in our office, looks up at mommy and goes, "All done." And instantly we all start crying. When I think of Julian, the 19-year-old autistic boy who doesn't talk, doesn't express emotion, turn to one of our CAs, Samantha, and say, "I love you, Sam," this Saturday. See, if I could lend you my eyes for just one day to see what I've seen over my 10 years, you'd be up here speaking. And I can tell you that every single one of my staff and doctors can tell you stories upon stories. We have a staff meeting every Monday. We have a part of our meeting called the Magic Moments. And I was away last week, and I came back to this meeting, and everybody at the table shares their magic moments because we have a large practice and we don't see everybody, doesn't see everybody. And I mean, there's 7 of us and everybody's sharing magic moments, and 2 of us, Dr. Glass and I, were in tears. It's mostly around children. When I think of Mary, who came to us in a wheelchair, and she's been in a wheelchair her whole life, and she was losing the use of her arms, and she gets the use of her arms back, which when you're in a wheelchair, your arms are your legs, that's a life saved. When I think of Frank, who was thrown 60 yards out of his Corvette, in a coma, told he was going to die, come out of the coma, come to our office in a walker, and a year and a half later, up here at dinner telling his story and how he lives independently and is working out on a treadmill. These are the things that I've seen. That's a life saved. There's a man in the audience right now, when we met him earlier this year, couldn't provide for his family because of the fire burning down his leg. He was a contractor. And his blood pressure was high, and he was on antidepressants, and he was having digestive issues. And that man is back to work now. And his doctor took him off his medications. That's a life saved. So we do save lives with the chiropractic adjustment. And I will explain to you in the next 20 minutes how that happens and why, if it's so good. Because I get it, we live in New Jersey, right? It's like, show me. Right? I went to school in Missouri. It's called the Show Me State. Right? Should have practiced there. How come nobody told me about this? Why is it a secret? That's why we're having a dinner. And that's why I get up every day and I will fight for the rest of my life as long as I'm on this planet for people to know, or at least have the opportunity to pursue upper cervical care for themselves and their family. Because guess what? There's no course in medical school on upper cervical care. They just don't know about it. It doesn't make them wrong or bad. They just don't know about it. Your dentist doesn't know about your lungs, right? My angel. So here I am in first quarter chiropractic school, and I'm hearing, the doctors speak, and I'm learning the philosophy and concepts and the science and the art of chiropractic, the things that we're going to talk about tonight. And I'm gung-ho, I made a great decision. And I signed up as a patient for one of my professors, and I'm going to his office 3 days a week, and I'm paying my money, and I'm getting this crack pop twist thing, which we don't do in our office. And I'm having a dilemma. You know when there's a contradiction inside you? It's like, my results aren't matching what I'm paying for, what I'm learning. And I remember calling home to my parents and saying, "Ma, Dad, I think I made the wrong decision. I think I got to maybe transfer out to PT, medicine, OT, whatever." And just one day, as I'm telling some girl my plight in the hallway, she said, "Why don't you go listen to this upper cervical doctor speak on campus? He's coming in at night." Okay, I was desperate. So I went, just like you have come tonight, and I sat in the audience, and this doctor didn't speak. He brought 6 of his patients who left their lives in the middle of the week to share their stories with a bunch of chiropractic students. And they were jaw-dropping stories, kind of like the ones I just shared with you. I thought, whoa, but I'm from Jersey, you got to show me. So I signed up as a patient, and the results were remarkable. I played football from an Alpine high school. My spine was never right after that. My immune system wasn't right after that. And this doctor was the first doctor to make me feel right again. And I was attracted to the science and the precision of upper cervical care. And I begged him, can I just shadow you? When I'm not in class, I'll be here. And by the grace of God, I was 21 years old, and that's all I've done since. So that young girl in the hallway that day, and I don't know her name, I don't know her face, I can just picture the hallway. What if she didn't speak up? You never know how far-reaching something you say or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. So that's why when we say this is a patient appreciation dinner, we appreciate you because you could save somebody. You could very well save not only some person's lives, but families' lives going forward. So thank you. It's a purpose-driven life. So let's talk about this. If we're going to have a conversation about health, let's establish something. Kind of like the birthday question. How many people in here want to be healthy now? How many people here want to be sick? There's always a couple funny guys. Of course, it's the guy who's speaking tonight. There's a crisis going on right now in our community. We have to talk about it. As a country, are we getting healthier or sicker? Are we spending more or less on health care? I wrote this essay about a year ago that's in front of you. Definitely take it home and read it. It talks about how everything got flipped upside down and backwards. You know, some of the most alarming facts here, as I was doing the research for this, is we spend upwards of 15% of our gross domestic product in this country on health care or sick care. That means 15 cents of every dollar you spend every day goes towards paying for somebody's medical costs. The second closest country is around 8%, so we're spending double of the next country. According to an NIH study that came out last year, of 17 high-income countries, the United States was at close to the bottom in infant mortality, heart and lung disease, STDs, adolescent pregnancies, injuries, homicides, disability rates, and the report placed the U.S. dead last for life expectancy, and the U.S. male will live 4 years less than the other 16, many of the other 16 countries. So this isn't my opinion. This is the facts on what we're getting for what we're spending. And the way that I was trained was to analyze results. If drugs were the solution, we should be the healthiest country on the planet. It's estimated that on the planet, we spend $300 billion a year on pharmaceuticals. 234 are spent in this country. 200 are spent in New Jersey, I think. Results, there has to be a behavior and action that precedes a result. Before the behavior and action comes a belief. So you can't get healthy in a sick care system. Ladies, if you go to a doctor for mammography and God willing it's negative, what do they say? Come back in a year, we'll see if you have cancer. What should I do over the next year, doc, so I don't get cancer? It's not that they're bad people, it's they're so busy taking care of the sick people that it's not in the system. You can't go in there if you're well. So what happens is medicine in this country shines at crisis care. There's no better place on the planet to be if something terrible should hit you. But after they stabilize you and put the fire out, you go back to the fire department and ask for more hoses and axes? No. And so that's what's happening. People are going back to the sick care system to find health, and the outcomes are poor. So there's got to be another way. And so the conversation that we're going to have today is about where health, healing, and vitality come from. Because I do believe 10 years and 100,000 visits later, we are experts on healing. We've seen a lot of it. And so if we're going to have a conversation about health, we've got to define health. How do you know if you're healthy? Anybody brave? You go to the doctor tells you you're healthy. Typically when I ask an audience of small size or large size, think about your definition right now of health. You don't have to say it out loud, just think of it. Most people are here are saying, if I feel good, I'm healthy. Nothing could be further from the truth. Cancer, heart disease, strokes, diabetes, hypertension, AIDS, osteoporosis. These are the worst conditions that we have in our culture. And these people feel good until they get a test done and then they feel real bad. Or they feel real good until, if a symptom does appear, it's typically pretty advanced. I mean, we all know somebody who is presumably healthy who, what's the first symptom of heart attack? Actually, it's sudden death 40% of the time. That person didn't even get another chance. And that person woke up that day feeling good. So I know that we all want to feel good, and I want that for all of you. But relying on how you feel to determine your health may be an incomplete strategy. And it never believes behaviors, outcomes. It goes back to the belief that was put into our nervous system by the marketers that when you are running through a field of flowers on Allegra, even though you may have diarrhea, impotence, and bleeding of the brain, you're healthy. And I got to tell you, Viagra, those marketers were smart, right? You know that last line they always say right as the commercial goes off? Viagra was supposed to be a blood pressure medication, and the side effect became the effect. I told you, medicine shines at crisis care. Okay. In all seriousness, Dr. Larry, if health is not how I feel, then what is health? Well, don't ask me. Ask Webster. Webster's dictionary says, health is a complete state of mental, physical, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease and or infirmity. A complete state of mental, physical, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Who has complete mental, physical, and social well-being in this room? Health is like education. When are your kids educated? They're never done. You're never done. We're never done. When are we healthy? We're never healthy. You don't wake up one day healthy, but you also don't wake up one day sick. They're both a process. You see, if you're alive, here's wellness here. Here's illness here. Not sick is right in the middle. I call it false wellness. I'm not sick today. I'm doing pretty good. You're just coasting. The thing that's obvious is if you're alive, like you're in this room right now, you're on this continuum. And whether you like it or not, or whether you want to or not, each and every day, everything alive is either moving one way or another. And so we need to have actions each day of our life that bring us either towards wellness. Otherwise, if we're doing nothing, we go this way. And everybody in the room would agree that our health is our greatest asset. We give up our home for our health, right? Well, think about your calendar this week. Other than this dinner, how much time do you have set aside for your health if it's that important to you? Just a thought. Because health impacts every aspect of our life. And I get it. Life gets busy and it gets put on the back burner. I'll deal with it tomorrow. According to Dorland's Medical Dictionary, the definition of health is when 100% of your organs are functioning at 100% of the time. So we can't do anything about the organs that they've taken out, and we can't do anything about the time that is gone. But the key to health in that definition is function. If somebody asks you, how do you define health? You say function. When my body is doing what it's supposed to do, when it's supposed to do it, I am healthy. What system of the body controls the function of the body? Our patients are so well trained. No, they're not trained. They're empowered. They're empowered because the brain and the spinal cord is running the function of the body. I never hear cardiovascular system or immune system or integumentary system or men reproductive system. It's always the central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. It's primary. And so, now that we've defined health, let's talk about healing. That's why we're all here. You know, and I know what a lot of people are thinking. You know, I don't have any of those things that he was talking about in the beginning. I don't have autism and, allergies, asthma, fibromyalgia. The biggest challenge that we face in our paradigm is where it can't get to people quick enough. Because it's so much easier to hold on to a champagne glass than to put it together once it's broken. Right? And so, the true answer to the healthcare crisis is that we need more people less sick. But I get it. Most people will enter our office because of the way they've been trained after there's a problem. And that's okay. We love them and take care of them too. And so healing is a universal law. What's a universal law? A universal law is a law that's true no matter where you are on the planet, whether you believe in it or not. Gravity is a universal law. If you're in Australia, or in Russia, or in the United States, and you jump off a roof, you're falling, whether you believe in gravity or not. And God or nature, whatever you believe in, gave us the ability to heal and recuperate. Well, Dr. Larry, you're so smart. If healing is a universal law, then why are so many people sick and suffering? Why are my keys falling? You can interfere with a universal law. And what I have found is the reason why people aren't healing is because they are or have interfered with the process. So the nervous system is primary. In this very second, your brain is telling your body what to do. There's a body chemistry. Your body chemistry is your health. Your brain tells your digestive system to secrete hydrochloric acid to break down that pasta. Your brain and your nervous system tell your salivary glands to secrete amylase to break down that pasta. Your brain tells your body to produce histamine. You see, allergies don't come from pollen and ragweed. If it were true, we'd all be blowing our nose right now. Allergies come from an overproduction of histamine. So if the body is overproducing or overreacting to the environment, we have symptoms. Now you can take an antihistamine and push it down, or we can get the communication right in the body. At this given moment, there are trillions of chemical reactions happening in your body. And healing is always an inside-out process. It's really easy for people when things aren't going right to look outside their body, look out the window, when they need to be looking inside their body. And so we have an outside-in system. When something's not right, I need something from the outside to suppress it, to build it up, to push it down, to make it right again. Here, if you leave with one concept tonight, this is what I can share with you from my eyes to your hearts. Healing is always an inside-out process. It's never an outside-in process. Ever. Outside-in maybe to make you more comfortable and help you could be a bridge, but ultimately the only thing that can heal you is you. The only thing that will make a new bone, once the bone is set by the surgeon, is you. The only thing that will heal that infection is you. You can heal you. So the nervous system is primary. Everywhere in your body right now, if I stripped away Ed's skin and muscles and bones, we'd still see the outline of Ed sitting here. It's everywhere. And if you don't believe me, just take your fork and start poking it around. Anywhere you feel the fork is a nerve. But guess what? The nerves that you feel only make up 10% of the nerves in your body. 90% of your nerves don't reach your consciousness. It's kind of like the cell phone. What you see on your face, the face of the phone, is like 1% of what's happening behind the scenes. That's how our amazing bodies are. Your body was given this ability to self-heal and self-regulate. The central nervous system runs that process. So let me ask you a question. If something was interfering with your central nervous system, would you be healthier or sicker? Upper cervical chiropractors remove nerve interference, period. What about headaches? No. Back pain? No. Pinched nerve? No. Neck pain? No. Fibromyalgia? No. Asthma? No. Autism? No. Allergies? No. But Dr. Larry, what about all these people that have come with these conditions and got better? They came as a result of the conditions. They got better because we took pressure off of their nervous system. It sounds too simple. Sounds too simple. Aren't the most powerful things in life simple? Right? Anybody have kids? That was simple, right? Yeah, slow crowd. That wasn't even talk now. I'm totally thrown off. You want to see the speaker blush? Okay. So let's say you buy this. Okay, so I have this nervous system interference, and that's why my body is not expressing itself or healing itself the way that it once did. And you know, it's usually a gradual process. Unless there was an accident or injury like Christopher Reeves, right? He fell off the course. What did he do? He injured his spinal cord, and the messages couldn't get from his brain to his body to his brain, and did he lose function? Did he lose health? And ultimately, did he meet his demise earlier than he should have because he didn't have mental impulses? Yes. That's rare, thank God. For most of us, the nerve pressure has been building up over years. So we look back and we say, God, I just don't bounce back or adapt the way that I once did. It must be because I'm getting older. That's the biggest bunch of baloney ever. Because we got an 86-year-old patient that skis Montana still. There's a difference between your biological age and your chronological age. So let's say you buy this, that there's this nerve pressure that's interfering with the health. What do we call that? We call it a subluxation. Now, if you're in our office, you're going to hear that word a lot, subluxation. For those of you who've never heard it before, it's a $10 word for stress. So when I say subluxation, you think stress. When I say stress, you think subluxation. So stress comes in three forms: physical, chemical, and emotional. I call it the 3 T's: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And nobody in here has physical stress because you've all been getting adjusted since birth, work out 5 to 7 days a week, have a Pilates reformer in your living room, have a Waldo as your trainer, and have perfectly set up ergonomic workstations, and you take breaks every 20 minutes. And none of you have any chemical stress because we all live in New Jersey and breathe the clean New Jersey air, drink the clean New Jersey water, and we're never ever exposed to any chemicals, insecticides, or pesticides, or drugs. And none of you have emotional stress. Are you married? Kids and mortgages and finances and all those things. So let's face it, so stress is part of modern life and we're not getting rid of it. And so this is the way the body works. This is the truth. And the truth is the truth, and all we got is the truth. You got a threshold of how much stress you can handle. Some people have a high threshold, some people have a low threshold. And it's always changing based on what's going on with our health. And stress is building. Picture like holiday time, right? The parties, the money, the gifts, the family, all that stuff's building. And once your stress level passes your threshold, your body loses the ability to adapt and the symptom shows up. The role of your nervous system is to help you adapt to stress. So since we can't get rid of all those things I just mentioned, we can manage them, we can keep them in check, we need to raise our threshold. Upper cervical care is the most safest and effective way to raise the threshold and increase the gap so you can handle more without it knocking you down. I hear it all the time, every day. Doc, I fell. Who was it? We had a patient who had really bad pain going down his arm into his hand. They slated him for surgery. He healed. Just a few weeks ago, he fell 4 feet off of a boat on his back. Got right up. Just adapted to that physical stress. And I predicted that after Hurricane Sandy, that we were going to see a whole slew of people in our community come in with new health conditions from PTSD. And we have. Just yesterday I had 2 patients that, you know what, I never had any of this until Sandy came. Because what did Sandy do? It tipped the scales. And so, I got to take this off. So, the way the nervous system is set up, because this is a smart crowd, and I'm a nerd. That's one thing you'll find out about me. Your body, your nervous system has 2 parts. You've got the fight or flight, sympathetic part, and you've got the parasympathetic, heal, repair, rest, digest part. And God gave us this fight or flight part so that when our ancestors, thousands of years ago, were trying to survive in the caves, and they had a saber-toothed tiger staring them down. Let's do it this way. Wardrobe malfunction. Remember Janet Jackson? I'll keep my clothes on. And have fun, but that's the point, right? So when you're facing that tiger, that lion, that bear, what does your body do? It puts you into fight or flight. You're going to fight or you're going to run. So what happens when you're facing a bear? Does your blood pressure go up? Bam. Do your muscles tighten? Bam. Do you need a digestive system when you're fighting a bear? No. That shuts down. First it voids and then it shuts down. Do you need an immune system when you're fighting a bear? No. That's why your kids are always sick when they come up from finals. Do you need your memory? You have real short memory span when you're fight or flight. Real narrow focus. Your body will dump cortisol, weight gain, sugar, cholesterol into your bloodstream because you need energy to fight or run. Do you see what I'm saying here? Digestive issues, libido, focus and memory, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high sugar. The body's doing what it was supposed to do. The problem is your tiger is not leaving. It's there day in and day out, and your body ability to adapt can only hold on so long until it can't hold on any longer. And then you go to the doctor and they go, you got a bad report card. Take this, take this, take this, and we'll push it down. What happens to a beach ball when you hold it down long enough? Over 50% of Americans, 50% of Americans over the age of 50 are on 5 or more drugs. Treating a drug to treat the side effect of the other drug. It's not the answer. It may be the answer temporarily, maybe keeping that person alive so that they can make a change. What's the other part? The other part is rest and digest. It's the relaxed feeling you'll have after your meal today, or when you're on vacation, or when you're laying around with your loved one, or after a massage. Who operates from there every day? The upper cervical adjustment shuts off the fight or flight response, turns the dial so you can go into a healing state, repair, digest. And here's physiology. A human cell can't be in defense and growth at the same time. Impossible. A human being can't be in defense and growth. A family can't be in defense and growth. A community can't be in defense and growth. A nation can't be in defense and growth. It's impossible. It's like having your foot on the gas and the brake. You don't go. Your rest and digest parasympathetic nerve system is located right here in your upper neck. We don't adjust bones. We adjust nerves. And I wanted to know, how can I make the greatest impact on a human being's health with the least amount of effort? And all the research and all the physiology points to right here. So we devote our lives to understanding and how to correct this area of the spine. So, why upper cervical? The upper cervical spine is really unique. You got this 15-pound bowling ball, and it sits on top of a 6-ounce bone called the atlas, named after the Greek god that held up the world. It holds up your world. And the bone is really unique because it's the only freely movable bone in the spine. There's no disc above it or below it. It's fully suspended by muscles, tendons, and ligaments, and it allows us to turn our head on the axis. It comes as a double-edged sword because it's freely movable and not locked in. It's the first and easiest vertebrae to misalign. And when that atlas misaligns and it tips off the 15-pound skull, you don't walk around like this. That would be silly. Your body will start to contort itself. And gravity will start to hit it. You'll start to compress. And you'll lock into this stressed position. You'll live there for years. And there'll be abnormal wear and tear in your joints, discs, and nerves until finally a symptom shows up and you go to the orthopedist and he does the MRI and he sees the bad disc, the arthritic joint. You go, it's part of aging. Well, if it's part of aging, doc, why don't I have it everywhere? Everything's the same age. These are smart men and women. It's not aging, folks. I've seen 80-year-old spines that look like they're 40 and 40 that look like they're 80. It's mechanics. If your car goes out of balance, that tire's going to blow quicker than the other. You don't have to have a degree to know that. So the answer is to get the spine up and open and correct the pressure off disc, pressure off nerves, so that the brain and the body can communicate the way that God or nature intended to. When do we have the first upper cervical subluxation? Anyone guess? When we're born. Well, if I handed you an infant, what would your wife say, Peter? Hold the head, hold the head, hold the head, right? Because they're like this. They're bobbleheads. Has anybody been to a live birth? It's serious. Whew. The cesarean section alone will use 60 pounds of axial traction to pull that baby out of mommy. 60 pounds. You know what that is? Go to YouTube and just watch a C-section. Imagine putting 60-pound weights on an infant's ankles and picking them up from the head until the weights are off the ground. That's what they're doing. And I'm not saying the doctors are bad. They don't have this knowledge until they have this knowledge. And in Australia, there's chiropractors in the delivery room. My daughter was checked at 20 minutes old after being like this for 9 months. And even a vaginal birth, forceps, vacuum, 80% of upper cervical misalignment happens at birth, and guess what? There's no symptoms. But if that nervous system is running the growth and development of that child, does it not make sense to make sure that their nervous system is working well? And I got to tell you, remember that book that Tom Brokaw wrote a few years ago, The Greatest Generation, the baby boomers? Right now, our kids are the sickest generation this country's ever seen. 1 in 10 kids have asthma. 1 in 46 have an autism diagnosis in New Jersey. That means 1 in 23 houses. I don't buy that it's underdiagnosed years ago because I don't see 1 in 46 adults my age with autism around town. Here's where it gets scary. 1 in 9 have ADHD, and 1 in 5 have a mental illness diagnosis now. These aren't my opinions, these are facts. 1 in 5. And how are the children treated? Methamphetamine, Ritalin, Adderall. These children are going to grow up and in one generation going to make other children. So these are neurological diseases. These are neurological diseases. And if you think back to the thoughts, traumas, and toxins, these children have more load on their nervous systems than any of us did. From 33% of births in this country are cesarean now. They expect it to go up to 50%. Now I get it. There's times where it's medically necessary. It saves the mom and the baby's life. But it's very different than elective, right? We made about 6 to 8 vaccinations. Now they get 36 to 40 in the state. There's a load on their bodies that was never there before. Just saying. And so we do a presentation called The Perfect Storm, because there's a perfect storm coming down on our kiddos now. And we have a huge pediatric practice and growing. Probably the fastest growing portion of our practice right now. And that's a presentation in itself. So we'll come back to that. So Dr. Damadian is the medical doctor who invented the MRI unit. Pretty smart guy, right? When you invent the MRI unit, you're like the Thomas Edison of medicine. He is a large upper cervical advocate right now. He's working with 2 of my colleagues in New York State because he invented new technology that's not even in the healthcare market. It's called a functional MRI that is now a video. So if you got your MRI of the shoulder, your knee, and your back, it's a snapshot, right? This MRI is a video. It actually shows the flow of blood and cerebral spinal fluid flow through the upper neck into the brain. And what they're finding in this machine, when they put patients with MS and Parkinson's and former NFL players like Jim McMahon, they're showing congestion or blockage in blood flow and cerebral spinal fluid flow up around the brain. And then he has these upper cervical doctors adjust their upper neck very gently, very specifically, without cracking, popping, and twisting, guided by very specific x-rays, and put them back in the MRI unit, and they restore the flow. He came out at a conference late last year in Connecticut, an integrated medicine conference, and said that upper cervical misalignment is the underlying cause of neurodegenerative disease, Parkinson's, MS, autism, and encephalopathy after post-concussion syndrome. He predicted that within 20, 30 years, the medical profession will be doing some sort of atlas alignment. The technology is finally catching up with what the Palmers who discovered chiropractic 120 years ago were saying. Everything's going to come right side up, hopefully. So, with that said, we focus a lot tonight on what health is, what health isn't, what's possible for you. You know, the quality of our lives depends on the quality of the decisions that we make. You are where you are today based on the decisions that you've made up to this point. You made a great decision. You came out tonight to learn something. You can make great decisions moving forward. And again, the theme of tonight is thanking people for sharing this information with others. And there's 2 angels, well, there's a lot of angels in the audience tonight, but there's 2 angels that are going to come up here and share from a patient and a mother's perspective how upper cervical care has impacted their life and their family. And they're not professional speakers, and it's a large crowd, not to make you nervous, guys. Just show them love, make them feel really comfortable because they're opening their heart to help you. And the first person I want to introduce, his name is Joe, and I met Joe when he was in high school, and now he's 27. Or he was graduating high school, went to college, now he's 27, and his life was changed with upper cervical. And he left work early today to be here to share his story. So let's give Joe a big round.
Can everyone hear me? Did I do this right? All right, great. So getting right into it, when I was in 6th grade, I was hit by a car when I was riding my bike. Didn't feel very good, fortunately I remember most of it. But the short-term result of that was that I had broken my foot, so we were really happy that nothing major happened. They checked my back out, the nurses and stuff. They said I might have had minor scoliosis, but nothing bad. Hooray. Then, a few years later, I was a freshman in high school, and I started getting severe pain in my lower back just sitting at my desk. So, we figured, lower back pain, let's go see a chiropractor. That's when I started seeing standard chiropractors, the twist and cop people that Dr. Larry was talking about. And the immediate effect was definitely positive. It definitely helped. I felt better, but the issue was the adjustment wouldn't hold. Within 24 hours, it would pop out of place, and I would go back to feeling pain. This continued on into my early college career, and because I was never really recovering, the situation just continued to get worse and worse. I was 20 years old, and it came to the point that I was fumbling up and down stairs, and I couldn't walk without knee pain, and I couldn't sit without back pain, and I couldn't concentrate on my work because I had headaches, and I was just tired of living in my body. Fortunately, my mom called me one day and said, "Joey, I just found this chiropractor." I had a conversation with him, and they said that the reason you might be having all these problems is because of misalignment in your neck. And I'm a mechanical engineer. I understand some basic mechanics. So I was a little bit skeptical maybe about how the neck, an injury in my neck was affecting my lower back, but I had nothing to lose and everything to gain at that point. And I said, absolutely, why not? Let's give it a shot. So I went to see Dr. Larry and Dr. J, who's not here with us, unfortunately. And after Dr. Larry kind of went through the whole, what he just spoke about, that a little misalignment in the neck, and suddenly the whole body starts to compensate, it made a lot of sense with me. It really resonated with what I learned in school. And so we took the x-rays, and sure enough, I had a 7-degree twist in my atlas, which was just wreaking havoc on the rest of my body. So we started doing care. I was originally doing 3 days a week to get back up and going. And then eventually it went down to 2 and 1. And now I just go every other week for maintenance. And from being a crippled 20-year-old, I am now ballroom dancing. I did a capoeira class, which was a lot of fun, and basically I have the use of my body again. And he was mentioning lives saved, and I feel that they definitely saved my life, because I actually don't know where I would be if I hadn't found that doctor. And they've helped me so much, and I have such a passion to want to give back and do what they did for me, that I'm planning a career to go back to school and become a chiropractor as well. So it was a life-changing and life-saving event that my mom had opened the newspaper one day and saw a little yellow piece of paper that said, Dr. Larry. I never even saw the paper, but like a good mom, she didn't stop until she found out what was wrong with her son, and I'm still with her now, so. All right.
So the next person that's coming up is a mama, and I take care of her little kiddo. And mom and kiddo mean a lot to me, and I'm going to let mama tell the story, because she's going to tell it a lot better than I will. Stacy. This is Stacy. Give Stacy some love. It's funny, I called Stacy last week and I said, Stacy, I really want you to share your story about Jack from your perspective. She goes, how many people are going to be there? So that'll be a small crowd.
Somebody's phone. Happy birthday.
Hi, my name's Stacy. Like Larry said, I bring my son Jack, who is 7, to Dr. Larry for allergy-related asthma. And just to give you some background, when he was 1, we spent his birthday at the doctor's office for bronchiolitis. When he was 2, we spent his second birthday in the doctor for bronchiolitis. And he was diagnosed with asthma at that point, allergy-related asthma. And since that point, when he was 2, every allergy, his birthday is in March, when allergy season typically starts. And since then, every season, it would last longer and it would get worse till 2013. He was on he was only not on a nebulizer for January, February, and December. He was on a nebulizer 3 times a day. He had to do it at school, and he was on so many medications that it was ridiculous. And coincidentally, we started to notice that he was having a lot of problems at school. He was a very good reader, but had no comprehension. We would read one sentence. By the time we got to sentence 4, he had no idea what happened in sentence 1. We could be talking about Superman or groundhogs, and it was the same thing. He couldn't recall simple facts. And in November, he's a first grader. He absolutely had no idea what 2 + 2 was without counting on his fingers or, counting something, but he could not recall what 2 + 2 was. So we had, conferences with his teachers. We talked to the school psychiatrist, and we decided that we would make an appointment with him for a child neurologist to talk about attention deficit disorder. And that was November, December. So while this was going on, I started to look at the calendar because I knew allergy season would be coming up. And we had spent so much time at the allergist and so much time on the nebulizer that I decided to start bringing him to Dr. Larry to see if we could just lessen the amount of medication and lessen to see how bad these seasons were. And so he started going twice a week, the very beginning of January, and today is May 7th, and he has not had a nebulizer treatment since December. He's on no medication. We recently went to Washington, D.C., which was in cherry blossom bloom, and he walked around Washington, D.C. like he was never allergic to pollen. And coincidentally, in February, his teacher called me to tell me that she had seen a marked difference in his schoolwork and the quality of stuff he was turning in. His Hebrew teacher called to see which tutor I was using so that she could recommend them. And we just saw a huge, huge difference. And the reason I keep using the words coincidentally is because I really don't think it's a coincidence. I think that the adjustments have really attacked his allergies, which we now don't have to use the medication. And it has just turned him into this confident little boy who is so happy to go to school and gets such good grades now and deserves them. They're not marking him on how much effort he puts into it or how much he's trying. He knows the content of what he's doing. And if this sounds like you guys or any of your kids or anyone you know, all I can do is tell you to try it, because we've lost years and years of not doing it, and really just had so many things. It's a snowball effect. The nebulizer affects your teeth. It makes your teeth soft. He's been on it for years. He's had a cavity in every single one of his teeth. So it's what you don't know, or what you don't communicate to your doctor or your allergist, and you realize these things so many years later. And so I'm happy we addressed it, but I do regret every day that we didn't do it earlier.
So we made up these 2 awards. Jack's gonna love this. This is our 2014 Wellness Award because we've got 2 really well people. It's not me, I take no credit. It's them. It's their bodies. And those are 2 lives saved. And I don't look at that little boy Jack when he comes into the office in January and I hear that history. I don't look at him as fundamentally flawed, needing help from the outside in. I look at him as a miracle, needing his health and his health expression released. And so many of you before tonight would have never even considered coming to a chiropractor. Some of you got tied up and put in the trunk to be here tonight. You know, leverage is just getting people to do things that they normally wouldn't do. There's two things that cause people to change. Remember? Beliefs, behaviors, outcomes. You want a different outcome, you've got to change your behavior, but first you've got to change your mind. And there's two things that will cause you to change your perspective. A crisis or the people you meet. And so hopefully tonight nobody here is in a crisis. And hopefully tonight you met some new people who got some new information. So one of the ways we show our appreciation to our practice members is to give the people they love the most the opportunity to come into our office for a checkup. Now, I didn't say anybody in here needs care, but you're entitled as a human being on this planet to have a checkup just like Jack was.